Hey, what's up guys, Sir Emanon here, and welcome to another feature match commentary on the channel today. So this is going to be round 3 for the 10th edition of my online Discord tournament, and this one is going to be featuring SSJ Majin Slayer on Phantom Knights versus Larione on Zombie World Eldlich. And if you guys are interested in playing the next tournament as usual, definitely go ahead and find the link to my Discord server in the description box below for more details. And additionally, if we do manage to hit 10,000 subscribers by the time that tournament does fire, I will in fact be making it a giveaway tournament that'll be free for you guys to enter. So if you guys are interested in potentially winning some prizes, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But let's not waste any more time and start with this matchup here without any further ado. So we're going to see Phantom Knights taking the RPS win here, so they're going to choose to go first in this matchup. Not really too shocking. The opening hand for Phantom Knights going first is going to be Double Forbidden Droplet, Torrent Scales, Wing, and Seer. So this hand going first is pretty good with the Torrent Scales as the one-card starter. Obviously, it's not ideal to draw the Burning Abyss package since it is so compact, and you want to keep them in deck for Carabini and Graph and things of that nature, but I think overall going first is pretty solid. We also see some go second cards in here. And then the opening hand for Zombie World Eldlich going second is going to be Ice Dragon's Prison, Curse Eldland, Black Awakening, Extravagance, and Conquistador. So this hand, kind of hard to evaluate because it is a trap deck, so there's not going to be a ton of hand traps or board breakers necessarily, but this is pretty decent because Curse Eldland getting to Lord can help break boards, and Extravagance can kind of help dig for more answers to whatever the end board's going to be. So I think both players open pretty well here. So starting things off from PK, we're going to see the normal summon of the Torrent Scales, and then the effect is going to be activating, pitching the Wing. That's going to send Ancient Cloak from the deck to the graveyard. And then Cloak effect is going to banish itself from the grave to go and search for a copy of Silent Boots. And then from here, Silent Boots is going to special summon itself to the field since there is a PK monster on board, followed by the Link Summon of Carabini. Setting a card first, by the way, for Forbidden Droplet, which does turn on the Carabini protection effect. There's not really too many things that this plays around, but it can be useful in case things like Ogre return to the format eventually, so it's a nice habit to get into. But Carabini effect is going to be activated. That's going to go and send a copy of Ragged Gloves to grave. And then the Silent Boots is going to activate. That's going to banish itself to add a Phantom Knight spell or trap. The pick is going to be Shade Brigandine. And then followed up by setting Brigandine and then activating Wing Engrave, since that's, of course, preventing the Brigandine from being activated the same turn it was set. But going to bring back the Ragged Gloves off of this. And then the Torrent Scales is going to bring itself back. From here, we're going to overlay into a copy of Levier, the Sea Dragon. And then Levier effect is going to bring back the Ancient Coat from the banished pile. And then going to activate this Shade Brigandine here. Next, going to Link Summon into a copy of Rusty. And then Rusty's effect is going to activate. That's going to send a copy of Torrent Scales to set a copy of Fall Blade. Whoops, I accidentally hit fast forward, but looks like that was a misclick anyways, so we're good here. But looks like gonna go ahead and use the Ancient Cloak here. That's going to raise the attack stat of Rusty by 800. And then going to Link Summon into a copy of Verity Anaconda. And the Anaconda's effect, of course, is going to pay 2k to summon out the very, very infamous Dragoon right here. So that's probably going to be it. Oh, nope, just kidding. Going to be Ragged Gloves next. That's going to send a copy of Sword. I don't believe we ever sent the Break Sword to the graveyard. Yeah, so there's nothing to bring back at the moment to proc the Rusty Pop. But pretty decent for follow-up at least. So yeah, it's going to be Dragoon plus Droplet and a Fall Blade. The top deck is going to be Super Poly from the side of Zombie World Eldlich, so that's pretty good. Obviously really good with Zombie World to just get out the Nether Soul Dragon, but I do wonder what other generic targets there are. Definitely imagine there's at least something like a Starving Venom to just clear up this type of board. So yeah, in the standby phase, we're going to see Super Poly being activated. That's going to pitch Conquistador, and it looks like they're going to send away... Oh, alright, it was going to be Rusty and Dragoon right here, so that's going to summon out the Starving Venom. So that's pretty solid. This allows them to go to main phase 1 and activate Extravagance freely without having to worry about banishing the targets. Only going to go for 3 here, it looks like, which is pretty interesting. They're going to draw into White Destiny. So that we see Pleiades, more targets for the Super Poly, and some zombie stuff, because of course, Zombie World can play things like Vampire Sucker, Avenged Savior, Christian Hakafibrax, etc. So yeah, probably would have been worth it, I think, to draw 2 in most cases, especially because the hand wasn't really zombie heavy anyways, but I still think that Super Poly put in a lot of work, obviously. So yeah, we'll see how this ends up transpiring. Curse Eldland going to be activated next. That's going to pay 800 life points to go and search for an Eldlich card. Going to pick up the Lord himself. And then Eldlich is going to be activated. That's going to pitch the White Destiny. And then that's going to send away what is known to be the Fog Blade. And then Lord in Graveyard going to send away the Curse Eldland here. That's going to go and revive itself with the boosts. And then Black Awakening is going to be activated next. This can actually fetch any zombie here because Lord is on field. So yeah, going to go and summon out Unizombie. This should be in defense position. Unizombie effect is going to be activated, declaring the second effect, but we're going to see a Forbidden Droplet Chain that's going to negate the Unizombie by sending away the Verte. And then, okay, looks like they caught that. That's good. White Destiny going to be activated next, since it was pitched for the Golden Lord. So that's going to go ahead and set the copy of Conquistador from the deck. And then they're also going to set Ice Dragon's Prison, and then we're going to see Battle Phase. They're going to go ahead and attack for 28, and then 35 would be game, but there are a couple of PK traps in the grave. So they're going to activate this Fall Blade to bring back Rusty, and then Torrent Scales is going to be triggered off of that, and then the Lord is going to go and clear the Rusty. So preventing game here, and then End Phase is going to activate Conquistador. That's going to banish itself to set a copy of, I would imagine, Scarlet from deck, since it already went through the Black Awakening and White Destiny, which typically are just one-ofs. So that is pretty good. I think it might have been worth it to go Fall Blade to bring back something besides the Rusty, because Rusty being a follow-up play is really, really important. Also, an interaction that might come up here is the Famnite Traps versus the Ice Dragon's Prison, because that can kind of help dodge that, as well as like Walk Arrow. So the PK Traps are nice in this kind of matchup. But yeah, not having the follow-up for Rusty could be rough for sure. So we'll see how this plays out. Gonna draw for turn a copy of Tour Guide. We also didn't see any adaptations like sending Libic off Carabini last time, so I imagine that they're not on it, probably just on Seer Graph, so I don't think Tour Guide's going to have too many great targets right here. Besides another copy of Tour Guide. And I guess you could still grab the Graph if you wanted to, but yeah. We're going to see Standby Phase, Main Phase 1, going to activate Torrent Scales right away. That's going to pitch the Seer out of hand, and then that's going to send a PK to the graveyard, going to be picking Silent Boots. So Seer also gets a trigger here, which is pretty good. Looks like there was a misclick. So yeah, Seer gonna bring back the not Rusty. Seer bring back Carabini. Imagine Seer bringing back Rusty. We're gonna go ahead and activate Silent Boots to add Fog Blade. And then from here, gonna be normal summoning the Tour Guide and activating the effect. That's gonna go ahead and summon a copy of Tour Guide. Maybe it was worth it. I'm trying to think if it was worth it to like shotgun Conquistador, just to go ahead and pop the Torrent Scale. And that would kind of force them to use Sword on the other Torrent Scale, but then you can just chain the IDP at that point. Because now, like, the IDP is still vulnerable to the Sword, just kind of insulating it. Maybe they're holding it because they might be expecting Walkera back there as well. So that could be an option. Even though Walkera doesn't target, you could just get back whatever you feel is the most important resource. We're going to go ahead and link summon into a copy of Nightmare Phoenix. Phoenix's effect is going to go ahead and pitch the Droplet. That's going to target the IDP, which was the only unknown right here. So that's going to go ahead and force it, and that's going to target Cloak. And then get a Chain Sword to go ahead and bring back the Cloak. So that's the interaction that we were talking about. So this is quite good. I'm going to go and summon out Break Sword, and then on summon looks like Conquistador is going to be activated. And that's going to pop Break Sword, but Break Sword still gets to trigger since it just has to be an Xyz summon card being destroyed. So I can bring back 2 PKs right here. And this actually could just be a game if they play the Raiders Night package, because we know the only set is Scarlet, and there's a lot of monsters on board with a lot of attack points. Gonna go ahead and activate Nightmare Unicorn. That's gonna spin away the Scarlet, but they're gonna chain it to summon from deck a copy of Doomkeen Baylordrock. And then from here, gonna overlay into a copy of Raiders Night, and the Raiders Knight's effect is gonna be activated. And that's gonna go for Arc Rebellion, and Arc Rebellion, of course, is gonna detach to gain the original attack of everything else on the field. Besides itself, and then it's the only monster that can attack, but this is just way, way more than enough damage. So let's do the quick math right here. So 55 plus 28 is 83, plus 13 is 96, plus 22 is 10,800, plus 28 is 13,600. I'm not sure if Conquistador counts, but regardless, 13k attack is way more than enough to go ahead and attack. Actually, somebody let me know in the comments. I feel like I should know this ruling, but I'm just blanking on it. So let me know if the original attack of this is treated as 500 or treated as 0. But yeah, gonna go and just attack over the Doomkeen Baylordrock, and that's gonna be the end of game 1. So a huge Arc Rebellion coming in clutch. Yeah, I think that the Zombie World Eldlich player could have used the traps a bit earlier, because I think that just having the Torrent Scales as follow-up is still really, really strong. Granted, the Tour Guide also kind of helped there to accrue a lot of advantage, but yeah. Seer bringing back Carabini ultimately didn't end up doing that much, since it was just used as link fodder regardless. So Like maybe they still have gotten to like access code, but it wouldn't have been game from just Arc Rebellion. So yeah, that was definitely pretty fascinating. But we're going to move on into game number 2 here, and we are going to see the Zombie World Eldlich player choose to go first. So their opening hand going first is going to be the 7 cities, Ice Dragon's Prison, Necro World Banshee, Zombie World, and Super Poly. So Zombie World Super Poly is the classic combo. This is not a card you really want to draw, but it's pretty decent in this deck since you have some more targets. Like you have higher level zombies to go ahead and use, like Bailey Drock, which comes back every turn anyways. So that's definitely a pretty interesting inclusion in this specific iteration of the build. But going first, I think this is a pretty decent hand. It's not great. Actually, it's not that good now that I think about it, because you don't really have your Eldlich engine online, and you don't really have Unizombie either. So it really is just going to be up to Super Poly and IDP to hold down the fort. But then the opening hand for Fam Knights going second is going to be Double Droll, Ash, Jackalope, and Red Ice Fusion. So this hand's also not good. It is playable because you could go like Special Jackalope. If it doesn't hit Ash, you can normal it, or you can just activate Red Ice Fusion, hope it's good enough. So main phase 1, gonna activate Zombie World, and then gonna go and I imagine normal summon the Necro or Banshee, and then set 2 pass. So this is preventing targeting from Zombie World in the field zone. I actually didn't remember what its on-field effect was, but yeah, it can't be destroyed and can't be targeted. Yeah, interesting that they didn't keep that for the discard for Super Poly. Might have been worth it, but we're gonna see a top deck of Fog Blade right here. So we're gonna proceed to the main phase. They're going to go and set Red Ice Fusion. So they're going to actually go for the PK plays first. That's going to pitch draw out of hand, summon itself, and then draws into wing. Really just drawing the traps instead of any of the good starters. But normal summon Ash right here. And then going to go and set the Fan Knight's wing. So they want to send this away with Carabini if need be instead of the Red Ice Fusion, so they can have it for next turn. Potentially. Going to go into Carabini right here. And then on summon, we're going to see Ice Dragon's Prison being used, since of course everything's a zombie. So that's going to go and banish the Carabini right there. And that'll be the end of the turn after setting Fog Blade, it looks like. For turn, we're going to see an Ash of their own being drawn. So probably going to be a slow game. Going to go Battle Phase, attack with a Banshee, getting in for some damage here, and then going to pass. They're going to draw the Staying Greaves for turn, which is one of the only PKs that doesn't really do a lot by itself. So that's pretty unfortunate. But Red Ice Fusion going to go be activated. Oh, they didn't use Ash here, so they probably just want to Super Poly it away, which I guess makes sense. So yeah, going to go ahead and summon out Dragoon. And then Super Poly going to be used on Res. That was more cards that ended up being used, but I guess they wanted the body as well. Since having Necrocell on field is definitely not bad. So that's going to be the end of that turn. And then we're going to see a top deck Unizombie, so Red in time, that's pretty good. It will be negated by Fog Blade though. Going to normal summon Unizombie, activate the effect. Going to get Fog Bladed right here. And then going to go to Battle Phase. The Nether Soul Dragon's going to attack for 3k. And then going to pass. We will see a Tour Guide being drawn for turn. So there's where keeping the Ash ended up coming in handy. So that's going to be quite nice for this Tour Guide. They're going to be thinking, normal summon Tour Guide, activate the effect. Going to chain Ash. And then going to pass on this. So just a lot of back and forth with neither player opening up super well in contrast to the last game. But Scarlet going to be the top deck right here. And then they're going to go to the battle phase. Nether Soul is going to attack into the Tour Guide. And then looks like during the damage step, the wing is going to be used to boost Tour Guide. I have to read this card again. So monsters cannot be destroyed by battle with this card. At the end of the damage step, if this card battled a monster that has an original level, that monster's attack becomes 0. Also, if that monster is face up on the field still, special summon a Dark Soul token with stats that are equal to the original attack and level of that monster. And then you can only control one of it. So, gonna take some damage here, but the wing will protect the Tour Guide, which actually wouldn't have been destroyed anyways by the Nether Soul Dragon, so maybe it was worth it to wait on that. But gonna go ahead and take some damage, and then the token's gonna swing into the Tour Guide. So I guess it didn't matter regardless, it was gonna be enough damage for game. So that's gonna be game 2, going to Zombie World Eldlich. And now moving into game 3 here, we're gonna see Fam Knights choosing to go first again. So the opening hand going first for Fam Knights in game 3 here is going to be Torrent Scales, Silent Boots, Fall Blade, Twin Twister, and Kagemucha Knight. So pretty solid hand for sure. Definitely a lot of good engine cards, pretty much what we want to see with Torrent Scales and the follow-up extender. And the opening hand for Zombie World Eldlich going second is going to be Feather Duster, White Destiny, Super Poly, Ice Dragon's Prison, and Conquistador. Drawing Super Poly in every single game here, which is definitely not bad. So yeah, this should be pretty interesting depending on what board they choose to end on. I wonder if they're going to still end on Dragoon to play around Super Poly, or if they're just going to go for the full end board and hope that it doesn't come up here. So main phase is going to go and normal summon Tour Guide and then activate Kagemucha Knight right here. And that's going to summon itself to the field. They're going to set the Fall Blade and then link summon into a copy of Carabini right there. And then Carabini is going to be activated. That's going to go and send a copy of Graf to the graveyard. And then Graf's going to trigger, summon out a copy of Seer. And then from here, they're going to link summon into a copy of the Rusty. And then that's going to trigger the Seer to bring back the Carabini. And then Rusty's effect is going to be activated. That's going to go and send a copy of the Ancient Cloak to set a copy of Shade Brigadine to their side of the field as well. Shade Brigadine is going to be activated since there's no traps in grave, and then that's going to bring itself out, as well as the Silent Boots from hand. And then those are all going to be linked off for Appaloosa, so going for a bit of a different end board right here. This is not the greatest against Eldlich, but against a zombie package, I guess it makes sense. Like, you don't want to stop the Uni-Zombie and stuff. So next up, they're going to activate the Ancient Cloak Graveyard effect. That's going to banish itself to search for a copy of Stained Greaves. And then they're going to trigger the Torrent Scales off of that. And then Stained Greaves can also be summoned right here. So getting a lot of bodies on board. They're going to overlay for Levier. And then Levier, the Sea Dragon, is going to activate to summon back the Ancient Cloak from the banish pile. Cloak effect is going to be used to boost the Rusty's attack. And then they're going to link summon into Verity Anaconda. Anaconda's effect going to be activated next. That's going to go ahead and send a copy of Red Ice Fusion. And then that's going to send the materials as well to summon out Dragoon. So they did, in fact, go for the Dragoon package, but that's going to be wiped away by the Super Poly. And then the what's it called? The Starving Venom is still going to attack over the Appaloosa, which will be pretty unfortunate. There's still a couple of Fall Blades to help protect it, which is not bad. There's also still Silent Boots, I believe. Yeah. So Boots can search for a second copy of Fall Blade or Sword, which is pretty nice as a discard outlet for this Twin Twister here. So they're going to pass on this, and the top deck, I think, was the Cursed Eldon right there. Hit the fast forward button by mistake, but Super Poly going to be used right away. That's going to clear up the board again. So going to go for Starving Venom. Also, something to note is that the PK player didn't go for the Break Sword play either of these games, choosing to go for Levier instead. So I guess it works out if your Rusty's getting Super Poly'd in every game anyways. But yeah, going to go ahead and summon out the copy of Venom. And then going to chain Appaloosa to negate that. It's not going to come up here since the Sword's not set, but Sword technically does give Appaloosa an additional negation because it gives 800 attack. So that's a pretty niche interaction. But Harpy's Feather Duster is going to clean up the rest of the board. So that is definitely pretty solid for the Eldlich player. Followed up with a copy of Cursed Eldon. That's going to pay 800 life points to search for a copy of the Golden Lord. So yeah, probably just going to go ahead and get Lord into rotation. I imagine in main phase 2 after clearing the Appaloosa. They're actually going to use Lord's hand effect to pitch Conquistador, but they're going to use Appaloosa to negate that, and then going to go battle phase, use the Venom to attack into it, dealing a fair amount of damage, and then main phase 2, going to use the Lord effect to go and send away the Cursed Eldland, bring itself back to the field, and then Cursed Eldland's effect is going to trigger as well. That's going to send a copy of another Conquistador. So actually not going to end on too many Eldritch interruptions. Actually, none of them to be exact. But they still have Ice Dragon's Prison, which definitely isn't too bad here. Oh, just kidding. They have White Destiny, which I forgot that they pitched for Super Poly, so that's going to be one interruption at least. They're going to go for Golden Land Forever, as a matter of fact, so curtailing the grind slightly, but they still have a couple of the Golden Land traps in grave, so they won't be running out of cards anytime soon at the very least. End phase, going to go ahead and go for Scarlet Sanguine, and then you're going to pass from here. They're also going to trigger the Fall Blade on the side of PK to bring back the Rusty, so there's a good follow-up before the Ice Dragon's Prison has a chance to fire. So definitely not too bad, all things considered. And they're also going to be able to bring back this Torrent Scales as a result of the Fall Blade being banished as well before drawing for turn. So they're going to draw Anti-Spell, which is, I presume, cited in here. So that's not going to be insane or anything, just because I think all the high-value spells are already activated, being the Super Poly, the Harpy's Feather Duster, and the Cursed Eldland, but definitely not too bad. Going to go ahead and in standby phase activate Scarlet. So I can summon out any manner of zombies. Gonna pick the Necroworld Banshee. So, okay, this makes sense, because I think they want to go and turn on the Golden Land Forever without having to get rid of their Lord. Because, yeah, that would make sense if they want to just, like, get rid of this Starving Venom and keep this on field. So yeah, they're going to go ahead and use the Banshee effect. That's going to go and activate Zombie World. Also, this makes it so that IDP is more flexible of a card, and you can hit pretty much anything you want. So that's pretty solid. Going to go ahead and proceed to main phase. Torrent Scale, going to be activated, pitching this copy of Sword that was added last turn. So that's going to send a copy of the Ancient Cloak to the graveyard. And then Rusty effect is going to be used. So that's going to go ahead and send a copy of the Cloak to set a Fall Blade from deck. So I don't remember if that's all 3 Fall Blades, not just 2 of them. So we don't know for sure if they're on 3 yet, unless if we saw it in a previous game and I just don't remember. But we're going to go ahead and activate the Ragged Gloves. That's going to send a copy of Torn Scales to the graveyard. And then the Ancient Cloak is going to be used here. That's going to go and add a copy of Silent Boots from deck to hand. And then from here, Torn Scales is going to be activated. That's going to go and bring itself back, followed by the Silent Boots as well. A lot of bodies to work with, and kind of holding off on the Golden Land Forever as well as the IDP. To be fair, there was already a lot of follow-up in the Rusty and the Torn Scale, so I think this time it's worth waiting just to play a bit more reactively. But they are going to chew through this back row by going for Nightmare Phoenix. So that's going to pitch Anti-Spell, going to target the set IDP since the Golden Land Forever was already known, but they're just going to chain the Land Forever to tribute away the Servant Fusion Dragon to negate and destroy it. Next up, we're going to see the Sword being activated. That's going to bring back a copy of Stained Greaves from Grave. They're then going to go into a copy of Break Sword. That's going to go ahead and allow the Rusty to trigger here as well. So that's going to target the IDP. And then they're going to chain the IDP. So that's going to target Ancient Cloak. And then going to banish the Break Sword as well. So pretty solid for sure. So it gets a bunch of PKs out of rotation and protects the zombie world in the process. And I don't know if they can actually clear this copy of Eldlich with what they have on field at the moment. Might be a bit difficult. They're going to be thinking here. Looks like the answer is no. So end phase, we're going to see Conquistador being activated since that was the second copy. And they're going to set a copy of Scarlet and get a pass here. They're going to draw Ash for turn, which I guess is pretty decent in a simplified game state. Also is a zombie, which helps. Going to go for Scarlet here in the standby phase, it looks like. So that's going to go and summon out a copy of Unizombie. I believe this Fall Blade is known, so they're just going to force it out right here. And they're going to go and link summon into a copy of Avenged Savior. And then they're going to go battle phase. Savior going to attack into the Rusty. And then in damage calculation, they're going to go and use the effect to send a copy of Baylordrock because Zombie Ward's on field. So that's going to boost its attack by 1600. So it's going to deal 1500 damage. No, wait, can I not do math? Hang on, 32. I think that's 1100 damage. Yeah, okay. Math is kind of hard, but gonna go and let's see. They said they misplayed, had a lethal. Yeah, they actually could have used the Lord effect to send away Zombie World and attack over the Verite, and that would have been game, huh? So yeah, definitely missing lethal there, which could come up because PK is pretty good at grinding. However, they're running slightly out of resources, so I think Zombie World Eldlich is still pretty favored right here. They're going to go to end phase and just pass because they already used a Scarlet in the standby phase to summon out the Unizombie. So pretty decent for the PK player because there's not really any known interruptions. Obviously, the Ash is lurking in hand. Fall Blade going to be using the end phase right here. That's going to go and bring back this copy of Stained Greaves. And then Torn Scales also gets to come out. So there is still a fair amount of follow-up. I wonder if they play multiple copies of Break Sword, or if they're just on the one copy. We'll have to wait and see, because the second copy could be nice here if it could just turn into another Raider's Knight play. We're going to see, Jackalope. That's a really good discard for the Torn Scales. Pretty solid. That's provided they have enough targets still. Going to go ahead and activate Baylordrock and standby phase. That is actually going to complicate things. I totally forgot about this, actually, so scrap what I said earlier about there being no known interruptions. There's actually now 2 known interruptions and still the Ash here. So yeah, this is going to be pretty solid. Yeah, so how do you out this as PK? It's going to be pretty tough. So they are playing multiple copies of Break Sword, so they're going to go into that. They're going to activate the effect, but they're going to chain Baylordrock to negate it. And that actually prevents the Break Sword from destroying itself as well, so that's pretty unfortunate. Going to go ahead and be thinking right here. They're going to normal summon this copy of Jackalope and then link into a Nightmare Unicorn. So it looks like they're just going to go into access code after clearing this copy of Baylordrock. And then main phase 2, going to go for, the Silent Boots. That's going to search for Fall Blade number 3, so now we do know that there's 3 copies for sure. And then they're going to activate the Torn Scales. That's going to bring itself back. So they still will have this copy of Break Sword, which is not too bad. Going to go for Access Code Talker, and then Access Code going to target the Unicorn. And then the other effect is going to be used. That's going to banish to pop Savior, and then banish to pop Zombie World. So now the Baylordrock's offline. They're going to set Fall Blade, and then pass And then they can use Scarlet here as well. Oh, looks like they're not going to. Gonna draw another copy of Ash. So actually, they maybe could have ashed this the Fall Blade earlier, or the Search for Fall Blade, I should say. I guess they don't really have a lot of zombie stuff, so they're not really too concerned about it. But there's not really too much to ash at this point. The game state is so simplified, so probably was worth doing it. Or maybe they want to hold it just to have a zombie tuner, because they still have Hcabe, which they could have gone for last turn as well instead of the Savior, because that could have gotten them like Gold Bloom access if they are playing Gold Bloom, which would have been able to summon out the Beodrock directly. So that's like another way to maybe put up more damage last turn. But carrying on here, oh, looks like they said, forgot my Eldlich because you went straight to end turn button and not end phase. Is that okay? And shout out to the opponent for being nice about it, for being chill. So they're going to go ahead and activate it. And they're also going to activate it, looks like, on their own turn. So they're going to just use both. So they're going to set Walkero and Conquistador. So one of these was set this turn. One of them was supposedly during the last end phase. Looks like we're going to use the Lord effect to send one of them away. Sending away Walkero right here. That's going to bring back the Lord. And then they're going to normal summon Ash and then link off into a copy of Verte Anaconda. So are they playing Dragoon in their own deck? Maybe that's another reason why they did an Extravagance for 6 game 1. Gonna go for the activation of Verte, but no, it's just gonna send Super Poly, but gonna be negated by the Fall Blade, which was known as well. And then end phase, gonna Walkero. That's gonna go ahead and banish itself to set a copy of Scarlet. This is a very grindy back and forth game right here. Gonna draw Rhoda for turn. Not really sure what other targets there are, but it's not a bad draw. Looks like we're going to shotgun this Conquistador and Scarlet. That's going to just out the access code because you kind of have to right here. And then going to proceed to main phase. So you're going to activate the Rhoda, and that's going to be ashed. So there were targets, but we're not going to really get to see what they are. Looking at the grave here, they actually don't have any PKs besides the Stained Greaves that's going to be underneath it. So there's no Raiders Knight play incoming, which would have been useful. Because like you could have gone potentially Break Sword, pop itself in Conquistador, and then bring back 2 PKs, and then go into Raiders Knight. I'm not even sure if that would have been game though. That would have just been 3k damage. So yeah, probably wouldn't have been enough regardless. But yeah, pretty rough spot for PK. They just have no resources. Yeah, they did have a Torrent Scale left in grave or in deck, I guess. Yeah, so they had a couple of targets for Rhoda and Kagemucha Knight as well. Break Sword gonna target Fall Blade and Lord, and then Battle Phase gonna attack over the Verte. That's pretty interesting. So maybe they just don't want them to Super Poly again, because by leaving Kisar on field, that's just a free spell trap for Lord to go and send, and that just clears the the Break Sword straight away. So yeah, maybe they're more threatened by the Super Poly here. But gonna pass. End phase gonna activate Scarlet. I'm pretty sure they used Scarlet. Yeah, because they summoned out Conquistador. Scarlet to pop the access code immediately. So yeah, this shouldn't be able to be activated. But they're going to set these 7 cities, and then they're going to draw a Zombie World. I don't think it'll be much of a difference. We'll see if it makes a difference. Lord Effect's going to go and send away these 7 cities. Okay, so they could have just done it this turn. Yeah, they could have just done it, and that would have been the same thing. So yeah, probably wouldn't have made a difference. Going to go for Lord here. Yeah, they could have done this like in standby phase. They're going to activate Zombie World and then go into Vampire Sucker. I guess it would have made the difference in terms of what card they would have drawn, because it wouldn't have necessarily been Zombie World right here. But they're going to go for Vampire Sucker, and then Vampire Sucker's effect is going to go ahead and summon Kagemucha Knight, and that will allow a free draw. So they're going to draw into a copy of Super Poly. So that's the 3rd copy of Super Poly. Yeah, I think it's pretty favored for Zombie World just because now they have Beodrock back online, so Beodrock can just come back every turn and be a huge body if nothing else. Attack over the Kagemucha Knight, and then set Super Poly main phase 2, and then pass. And then they're going to draw another copy of Kagemucha Knight for turn. They're going to go for the Beodrock here in the standby phase, of course. This should be in defense position. Vampire Sucker is going to go and draw a card, and that's going to go and draw a Foolish Burial. And that's a concession. So Zombie World Eldlich taking this one 2-1 after a very tough grind. Yeah, definitely a lot of back and forth, a lot of room for maybe like slight optimizations in terms of like just trading specific cards. But I think overall it's pretty solid. Both decks got to really just play their game. We got to see both engines play for a long time. And this kind of just goes to show that the Eldlich engine is still really good at grinding, even though it's not a great deck this format. It still is Eldlich, so like against rogue matchups like this one, like against PK, still is pretty solid, especially like with the zombie world Eldlich and the Belly Drive to just help back everything up. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comments. Subscribe for more informative and competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content. If you want to, you can follow me on all social media platforms or support me with links in the description as usual. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next video. See you guys.